Hello, I'm going to be taking you through a nice express 30-minute workout now that's going to be aimed at targeting your bottom muscles and your tummy muscles. So it's going to be a good core express workout. I'll also be releasing a half-an-hour mobility and stretch series. It'll be a good one for relaxation, so if you want to double up and put the two together to get an hour's workout in, you can. Or you can just do a nice express one now and work out through the core. So I'm going to get you started lying onto your back now. We're going to go through our abdo prep series for the first part here. So just laying into your Pilates rest position. If you want a little head cushion or flat pillow, you can do just underneath your head. And then heels are going to be in alignment with ankles, knees and hips. So make you've got this little tram track, so you're rested into your neutral pelvic position by doing a few pelvic tilts forwards and backwards. Find that nice mid position where you've got that soft curve into your lower back. Interlock your hands now, cup the back of your head. You'll bring your elbows up to your periphery, shoulders away from your ears, and we're going to warm up here with our abdo prep. So nice breath in, nice and wide, and then as you're breathing out, you're just going to slide your rib cage down as if you're getting your ribs to tuck towards your pants, and then inhale, lower and open out the ribs. So the movement's happening at the rib cage here. You're making sure the neck stays nice and relaxed. You've supported the weight of the head with the hands, and then inhale to lower, exhale, curl up. Inhale, release. I want you to imagine that you're blowing a candle out as you curl up. So strong breath out. Inhale, lower back down. You're going to keep your knees nice and still. If your knees are moving, then your pelvis is moving. You want to make sure you've got that neutral pelvic alignment throughout. So if you could keep a spirit level from your belly button to your pubic bone, you want to keep that nice and still. And so you've got that lovely curve in your lower back and it's nice and relaxed. And again, we're going to go for 10 more here now with our abdo prep curl ups here at level 1. So strong breath out as we curl up. We've got another 8 to go. Breathing out. Inhale to lower. Just imagine you're blowing that candle out just where your knees are. You're curling up to there. You're not worrying about lifting the head too high. It's just how much you can round the back here as you curl through. We've got our last 5 now. Inhale back through. Widen the ribs as you lower. And then exhale, strong curl up. Use the pace of the breath. And then we've now got our last 2 here. And then bring it up to your last 1. Good. We're now going to add in a pelvic tilt. So you curl up, and then as you get to the top, we then tuck the tailbone under by using our tummy muscles to pull pubic bone to navel, flatten the lower back. Now we reverse it. We reverse the hips. Then we reverse the ribs and lower back down. And again, curling through from the ribs, tucking the hips, untucking the hips, and then lowering through the ribs. So drop the ribs down, then tuck under, reverse the tuck, and then open back through the ribs. We'll go for 4 more here. We're just going to add in a few of these level 2 ones here, just to mobilize and get that disassociation between ribs and hips. So breathing out to curl up and tuck, so long breath. Inhale, release and lower, long breath in, and then exhaling, curling up, and then getting that nice tuck using your tummy, not your bottom muscles at this stage. So we're really focusing on isolating our upper and our lower abdominal muscles. We'll then go for 1 last one here, breathing out as you curl up, and then inhale, reverse and lower. Now we're going to tuck and flatten the back, so pulling in the lower abdomen here. Float your legs up to your double tabletop position, glue the knees and ankles together. Now we're going to curl up, keeping our abdo preps but keeping the knees nice and still. So we're keeping that tuck of the tailbone, we're pulling pubic bone to navel the whole time. So you'll feel your lower abdomen working entirely through this exercise, but your upper doing the movement. So they're going to feel a little bit of a release as we lower back down, and then they're going to tighten even more as we curl up. Still watching that your neck is relaxed, you're not pulling the head up, so you're just supporting the weight of your head with your hands as you're doing this one. You're keeping the legs as still as you can be. And then those nice crunches up, you should start to feel a little bit of the burn here now. Now we're going to add in the obliques. You're going to twist as we curl through. Inhale, lower back down, keep the knees nice and still. Imagine you've got a little tray of Prosecco resting on your shins. You're going to keep that perfectly still because we've accidentally filled into the room. And lowering back through, getting that twist, keeping the pelvis still. Just twisting through the torso, so curling up, reaching across. Inhale, lower back through. Exhale, curl up, twist. Inhale, release. One more each side now. And then from here, last one. Lowering back down with the head. And then lowering one leg at a time back down. We're going to move on to a little bit of glutes now. So we're going to go up through some spine curls and some bridges. So pull the heels up towards the bottom a little bit more. Keep that nice alignment. Then when you're ready from there, we're going to roll up. We're going to squeeze and tuck, curling all the way through. And then rolling back down one vertebrae at a time. For the first few here, we're just going to focus on mobilizing the back. So getting lots of tuck, pulling pubic bone to navel, keeping the ribs down, so engaging the abdominals as we do this. Round into the back. Feel like your back is little imaginary dinosaur spikes, and I want you to open out those spikes as you roll through this movement. So trying to get a bit of a C-shaped curve almost with our lower back, especially on the lowering down. We're really rounding and going one vertebrae at a time all the way back down. Rolling back through. We've got 3 more before we're going to add in some pulses. So lowering, get that nice elongation, feel the stretch, get the articulation and the control. Last 2 here, taking your time, pushing down into the heels to feel the engagement of the glutes. If you feel it too much into your hamstrings, the back of your legs, you could either raise your feet up or just focus more on that downward push of the heels into the mat, and then rolling back through. On the next one now, we're going to hold it up. So you're going to go all the way up into your spine curl, push the hips through, keep the suck of the tailbone, hold it. Now from here, we're going to do tiny little pulses. So you're going to clench and push the hips up just that little bit more. Squeeze the butt cheeks together as you do this one. Nice little pulses, keeping it at that high range. So we're pushing up, but we're just trying to go that tiny bit higher with the hips. We're still focusing on keeping the ribs nice and heavy. So we're not flaring the ribs or lifting up too high with the upper back. We're keeping the upper back nice and long, resting those ribs heavy, but pushing down into the heels as you do those tiny, tiny pulses. And then we're going to roll back down and relax. You should start to feel that into your bottom muscles. We're now going to bring our feet together, so we've got that nice midline alignment. We'll pull one knee to the chest, pull it in nice and tight. Now we're going to roll up through the single leg. We're going to push up as high as you can, trying to keep that articulation, keep this knee pulled to the chest. We're going to push back up again, nice and slow and controlled, going as high as you can, but at the same time, I still want you to pull your knee to your chest. Don't let the knee wander away to lift yourself higher, so keep that tuck. The more you pull your knee in, the more you'll tuck your tailbone under. It'll make it harder to get the height, but you should certainly be feeling it into your bottom muscles. We are just going to go for 2 more here before we change over to the opposite leg. So next one here is our last one, pushing up, roll back down, and then change over to the other side. So feet start together, rest, and then when you're ready, tucking and rolling through, getting that lift. And then rolling back down, still trying to keep that tuck of the tailbone as you push through. So keeping that knee pulled to the chest. Try and tuck your tailbone under as you push the hips up. We have got 3 more here on this side now. So when you're ready, last 3. Pushing up and rolling back down. And then tuck, tuck, tuck as you lift, squeeze down into the heel, squeeze the glute as tight as you can. Last one here, pushing all the way through and rolling back down. Well done. Now we're going to bring our heels together. The toes and the knees will have a slight bit of turn out, so your knees will be about hip distance apart. Palms are going to face up. Roll back up into your bridge all the way through. And then from here now we're going to do, again, tiny little pulses, but at the same time now we're going to squeeze our heels together and imagine you've got a pillow between your knees and I want you to squeeze the pillow. So inner thighs want to be squeezing as much as bottom. Tiny, tiny pulses, clenching the glutes at the top. Think of going up to top range and then pushing that little bit further for the pulse. It's not that we lower to lift, it's that we lift and then we keep the height the whole way through, like we're trying to just squeeze that little bit more range out of it. Keep pushing those heels together, keep pushing those knees together. So you're squeezing together as much as you can with inner thighs and glutes. And then now roll all the way back down. We're now going to take it up into a little bit of toe taps and one leg stretch and work on our tummy muscles again. So from here, you can relax your arms down. You can make sure the shoulder blades are nice and heavy, the neck's nice and heavy. I'm going to take you to a flat back for these now. So you're going to pull the pubic bone up to the navel and flatten the lower back. You'll float your legs up to a double tabletop position. Keep the abdominals engaged, and then when you're ready, we're going to toe tap down. So we're going to breathe out and lower one toe. Inhale back up, and then exhale to the other side. Your focus here is keeping the pull of the pubic bone up to the navel the whole time. So breathing out to lower. Inhale back up. Exhale to lower. Inhale back up. So keeping it going at the pace of your breath. So just see how long you can take your breaths, and that will dictate how long it takes you to lower your leg and lift your leg. To make it a little bit more challenging, we're going to start just to lengthen our lever, so we reach the toe just that little bit further away. If at any point you feel that your back is lifting off the mat, then don't go quite as far, shorten the lever, bring the toe down towards you a little bit closer, so work it at your range. Another option here is also to add in a bit of a curl up. It will make it a bit harder for the tummy, it'll be contracting even more, but it will mean that you won't be lifting your lower back and straining your lower back. So you want to take the pressure off your back. You want to be all in the tummy as you're doing this exercise here. Again, trying to go at the pace of your breathing, so breathing out to lower. Inhale back up, and then exhale, lowering back down. Good, now we're going to take it into a one leg stretch. So either stay with the curl if you need to for your back, or take the range slightly different. So the higher you go, the less pressure put on the back. The lower you will now be reaching, the more you'll feel what hopefully will be that disco belly or tremble mojo as I call it. When we're pulling pubic bone to navel, we're keeping our lower back pressed firmly into the mat here. So you're really scooping through those lower abdominals. Another watch point is the knees. They always come back over the top of the hips, so they don't start to wander away. If they start to get lazy and they don't come all the way back in, you'll start to strain your back. And you can always bring your knees further in as well. So nice stretches away now into our one leg stretch, reaching through. We're now going to take it to dead bugs. Float the arms up. We're going to stretch opposite arm and leg away as far as they'll go, keeping that tension through opposite springs between ribs and hips. So reaching away, opposite arm and leg. Pull it back into our center position to our dead bug start, and then reach opposite arm and leg away, pulling belly button down into the floor as much as you can. Really scoop down into the abdominals, bringing it back through, and then extending away. Good, and then bring the knees into the chest. Give them a little bit of a hug now, just relax through your back. And then we're now going to move onto our side and go into some clams next. So you're going to roll over to one side, you'll bend your knees forwards, have your knees just in front of you. You're going to straighten one arm out and bring either your head cushion or your folded towel between your ear and your arm here. And then you're just checking that your heels are in alignment with your bottom, shoulders and head. So as if you're stacked against a wall here. You can check your bottom shoulder is not up by your ear, so you've pulled it down a little bit. Your hips are going to be stacked, so we're going to just send this top hip away, lengthen out your waist. I always like to think of creating a little mouse house underneath me here by getting that stretch through the top waist. And then I always teach this in what we call flat back position, imprinted position. So you can drop the rib cage down, pull the pubic bone up to the navel and tuck the tailbone under and hold that tuck. I like to hold on to my hip just to feel what it's doing. So your clam level 1, we'll be turning out the knee now. So ankles stay down and together. We turn the knee up to the ceiling and then we lower back down, and we don't rest at the bottom. So we just keep that movement going throughout without any rest in between. You're going to keep this movement, making sure your pelvis stays nice and still. So we're not rolling back into our hip, we're keeping it stacked and forwards. We're also making sure that we keep the belly button drawn into the spine and we keep that imprinted spine position. So as if you're pulling your hips up to your ribs, tightening those springs. You keep the springs nice and tight, you keep that feeling of pulling pubic bone to navel as you lift the knee all the way up to the top. And then we're trying to clench our bottom and get the glutes to help us with this turn. We're trying to isolate it into the bottom muscles. So you want to try and think of the thigh being really heavy like the legs are heavy, floppy, dead weight. So you let the calf and the toes relax. You let the thigh relax as you do this. Then we're going to continue this movement with our level 2 climb. So you're going to lift the heels up now just a couple of inches. Keep your mouth house, keep your tuck under of your tailbone, and then we're turning the knee out to the ceiling, keeping those heels together and lifted. So keeping the waist long, keeping the shoulders relaxed, let the leg feel like a heavy, floppy, dead weight. I would think from level 2 onwards, you should feel a little bit of engagement through the inner thigh on the lower leg as you're supporting the weight of the top leg. So the top ankle is quite heavy onto the bottom ankle here. And then as you get right to the top of the movement, you can push into the bottom thigh and knee into the mat to help give you a little bit more lift and turn out. So we're just trying to get a little bit more work, a bit more resistance at the top of the movement. You should be feeling a little burn in your bottom by now, so ideally around to the side of the leg bone where the glutes attach into. So anywhere between here and wrapping around into your tailbone is where you want to be feeling this. And then we'll go for our level 3. So the bottom leg drops down, goes nice and heavy. The foot, now the top leg floats onto an imaginary step. We keep it on the imaginary step and then we turn the knee out. Now this gets a lot harder. You should be feeling the burn straight away with your level 3 here. So just enjoy it. Smile through the rest of the burn. Get as much turnout as you can, because this is where the leg really starts to feel heavy and you feel that you can't move it quite as far, and you want to again double check that you've lengthened the waist away, you've got your mouth house, you've tucked the tailbone under, and you're really pushing into that turnout, getting as much rotation outwards of the knee as you can, keeping that pelvic stability. Let's just go for 3 more here in our level 3. So last one coming up, and then from here relax the leg, give it a pat and a rub, a well-deserved one here. And then we'll change over now onto our other side to go into our clams this side. So restack yourself up, reset yourself. So you'll just rotate the other way. You'll have your head supported by your head cushion. You'll make sure the shoulders are nice and stacked. You pull that bottom shoulder down. Knees are in front of you a little bit. Your ankles, hips, shoulders and head are in alignment, so we're not looking down at our feet. We've lengthened the top hip away, we've put the tailbone under, and we keep the shoulders relaxed. And then when you're ready from there, you're now going to turn out with the knee, keeping the ankles down and together. So going for as much range, as much movement with this top knee as you can, allowing it to come from the bottom muscle, squeezing and turning out the leg bone, making sure the rest of the thigh stays nice and relaxed. So you're not feeling any tension into your calf, into your toes, or into the side of this leg here, or your hamstrings at the back of the leg. And then we'll just keep that moving with our level 1. So again, always just checking, shoulders are nice and relaxed, pelvis in out at the top. This is where you want to feel your abdominals lifting just a little bit more. It'll give you a bit more work. So pull the pubic bone up to the belly button. Feel those lower abs tightening as though you're tucking tailbone between your legs as you get right to the top of the movement. So it means we've really got pelvic stability and we're not also rocking back onto our hips, so we're keeping them stacked one on top of the other. Then after this next one, we'll take it up to our level 2. So ankles will lift, then continue with the turnout. You will feel the bottom leg now as you're pushing down into the knee when you get to the top of the movement. So squeezing out with both knees and then lowering down. We're just increasing that resistance by pushing those heels together. Let the top leg feel heavy on the bottom leg. Feel the inner thigh engage on this bottom leg as you push the heels together, and then pushing out with the knee into the mat as well as the top knee pushing up to the ceiling. And try and work on your range, keeping the pelvis nice and stable. So see how high can you take the knee. Really kind of smile through the burn as you try and push through this. Make sure the shoulders are nice and relaxed. The face is nice and relaxed. We're not screwing with our forehead as we go through it. And then after this next one, we'll take it to your level 3. So you drop the bottom leg, let it go heavy and soft. The ankle on the top leg relaxes onto an imaginary step. We keep it on the imaginary step as we now turn out. This then does become, for level 3, I think the hardest for getting the turnout, because A, you've done 2 levels before and it's tired, but because of the extra resistance, because it's floating, you'll find that you just start to get that bit heavier of the leg and you don't feel like you've got quite as much range. So really focus on pushing through the barrier and get into that range here. So turn the knee up to the ceiling as high as you can, and then release it. And then also the hard part is keeping your ankle nice and still on that imaginary step, because we can't actually feel where it is. We haven't got any feedback of a real step, so you're just having to focus on keeping the ankle nice and still where you think it is in the air. So we're working on proprioception here as well. Let's squeeze out 2 more really big ones. Push out as high as you can. And then relax. Well done. You can give it a pat and a rub here. Now for the next set of exercises, we're going to go up into a seated position, and we'll be working through a sort of teaser set. So from here, what I'm going to get you to do is we'll start up into our seated position nice and tall. You're just going to do a couple of roll downs, so we'll take the palms out in front of you, reaching fingertips away, and we'll tuck into that C-shaped curve, and then we'll roll back up and restack nice and tall again. So roll back on the tailbone, tuck the tailbone under as much as you can. Now I imagine when I'm making these C-shapes as if I've got a torchlight shining at my breastbone. I'm shining the torchlight forwards, and I don't let the torchlight shine to the ceiling, so I'm not hinging back with the body. I'm keeping that tuck of the ribs down as much as I can, and then curling all the way back through again. So go for 1 more here, and then restack back up. And then from here now, we're just going to roll back enough that then you feel you can float your feet just off the floor. Now shoulders down, nice and heavy. We're then going to reach away into a 1-leg stretch, then pull the leg back in, and then change to the other side, reaching away into 1-leg stretch, pulling back through. So we're lengthening away. Now you'll feel your thigh really trying to work here, but try and think of it coming from the lower abs and the pelvic floor lifting as you stretch. So try and engage through the lower abdominals and keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. Imagine you've got your favourite drink resting on each shoulder. Keep them nice and still so we're not lifting and lowering through the body. Now it's going to get harder. Now from here, keep the shoulders down, keep the ribs down, and then we're going to stretch both legs away and then bend them back in. And then reach both legs away, again trying to make sure there's no movement into the torso. Try and get into that stretch and then back through. And then 1 more here, bend it back through and take a very quick rest. Now we're going to try and roll up through your teaser, and then we'll add some variations in. To your back, you'll flatten your back into the mat. And then from here, the flat back position, you're just going to take the legs up into a double tabletop. I tend to glue the knees and ankles together as I'm doing this. Arms are going to float up overhead. You're going to reach them away, take a breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, you'll swing the arms forward. We'll roll up so we come onto our sitting bones. Then we reach the legs away and we reach the arms up into parallel over the top. Then we bend the knees and then we roll and we round back down. Now, for the first few of these, you need to work out how much swing you need to come up to sitting bones without putting too much momentum in and tapping the toes down, or not enough momentum that you don't come all the way back up. Then you try and lower back down in a controlled way without holding on to the legs. So a nice breath in, breathe out, all the way through. Reach into teaser, shoulder blades down, and then bend and roll back in. We will go for 1 more just like this. Then after this, next, we are then going to go into full teaser where we straighten the legs straight out and away. So now straight into your end position. So you're curling up, reaching along with the arms, along with the legs. Then fold, roll back down to the floor. And then again, reach up, you go straight into that end position. And then fold back through. Check that the shoulder blades stay down away from the ears. Stretching into it straight away. Last one, and the next one we're going to hold it and add in some lift and lowers. So curl all the way through, reach. Now from there, keep the body nice and still. We'll lift the arms up, lower the legs down. Then we'll press them together. Keep the legs as straight as you can. Keep the body as still as you can. And press. And let's go for 4 more. And press with the breath out. Last 2, good. And last 1. And then roll back. And from there, rest, bring your knees in for a hug. Nice and gentle here. And then we're going to roll over onto our side for our last set of glutes. So when you're ready now, just rotating through to the side. Go back into that same position now where you've got your head supported with the cushion and you're making sure that you're in that nice alignment. Now the bottom leg can stay bent for an easier version, or you can have it straight out for the slightly harder version, so just depending what you're wanting with this one. So we lengthen the top waist away and you create that mouse house. We reach along with the foot as if someone's pulling our foot away. The first exercise from here, we're just going to take it into circles. So sweep the leg forward, sweep it back and around, and then circle all the way through. You can either point your toe or flex your toes and point through your heel. So whichever you prefer as you're doing this one. I want you to imagine as if you've got a pencil poking out of your toe over heel, and you're going to be drawing these lovely perfect circles on the wall away from you. Keep lengthening the waist the whole way through, especially as we lift the leg, that's the hardest bit. And then we're going to change direction, we'll circle it around the other way. So pointing the toes or flexing, reaching, circling around nice big circles. I like to keep my hand on my hips, I can feel what my hips doing. So you're making sure the pelvis stays still and you don't shorten your waist or lose your mouse house. You keep the abs drawn in the whole time. Then we take the leg up to hip height, and now we're going to go into our side kick. So you're going to point forward, kick through to the front, flex through the foot, and now imagine there's a heavy box and we're pushing the box back behind you. And then we point through to the front, and then we flex back. As you kick through to the front, keep the waist long, make sure that you haven't shortened your waist. Then as you kick back, I want you to think of tucking tailbone under, pulling pubic bone to navel, and keeping that tuck as you push back. So go as far back as you can, but without your belly button pushing forward. So keep hollowing the belly button back and pulling pubic bone up to belly button. So you imagine like you've got a cat's tail. I want you to tuck it between your legs as you kick through. Keep it tucked as you kick back, so it will restrict you a little bit. We're really just working on that hip extension without any pelvic rotation as well. Last one, kick back. We're now going to kick the leg behind us as far as we can. Turn the knee to face into the floor and then lift and lower. Now this is a nice little burner to finish with this one. So again, lengthen the waist away. Imagine someone's pulling your foot away and reaching it out. We're doing nice little pulses up. We're keeping the knee turned into the ground and the leg is behind us. You should really start to feel the burn in the bottom on this top one. If you find that it wraps around to the front of your thigh, turn the knee in and roll the hip forward just that little bit more. You'll just get a little bit more around the back of the bottom. As you're doing these little pulses, the legs should start to feel heavy. You should be feeling the burn. And then rest, give it a pat and a rub. Oh, and we can change over to the other side now. I always love these side lying exercises because, to be honest, no matter how much you do it in practice, although it does get a little bit easier, you always feel it. It's always so effective and a really good one for those stabilisers of the pelvis. So again, you reset yourself on this side. That bottom knee can be bent for a little bit of an easier version. If you're looking for a challenge today, you can straighten it out. Especially the side kick and the circles with the knee straight is a really hard version. So then from here, reset, leg up, and now we're going into circles. So you can either point your toe or flex your toes, whichever you prefer, but just whichever one you're doing, we're pushing through the toe or the heel. Imagine there's that paintbrush, we're painting beautiful circles onto the wall away from us. We're keeping our pelvis nice and still, so we're not circling around or hula hooping on our hips. We're keeping the abs drawn in, we're keeping the waist long with the lower waist lifted, and we're maintaining that throughout. Nice beautiful circles, lengthening away. And then now change direction, go the opposite way. Really reaching through the toe as much as we can. Getting that nice big oscillation into the hip socket, but pelvis staying nice and still. Should be starting to feel that burn. If you don't, turn the knee in a little bit towards the floor. It'll help give you a little bit more as well. And then bringing the leg back up to hip height, now into our side kick. So we point the toe and kick forwards, flex through the heel, dig through, imagine a heavy box, and you're pushing the box back behind you. So you pretend there's this resistance, take the leg as far back as you can without losing the pelvic stability. Then kick through and then push back. Now again, as you kick through, keep the waist long. Make sure that you've lengthened your waist on that kick through. Then as you kick back, tuck the tailbone, keep the tailbone tucked, pull pubic bone up to navel, and keep that position. So we've got long waist and tailbone tucked, and we're going to maintain that the whole way through this side kick. check your leg is always at hip height, so as you kick the leg in front, make sure the height of the leg is at the right position so it's not come too high or it's not dropped towards the floor as you continue and it feels a little bit on the heavier side. So last two here, really dig and push back now. Focus on going back as far as you can without losing those imaginary springs. So between rib and hip, you keep that connection there. Last one here, push back with the leg as far as it will go back behind you. Turn the knee into the floor, the hip will roll forward a little bit, and then we're going to pulse up and down. So the leg should feel it's behind you and it's turned in, and we've got these little pulses up. You should lengthen away now through the waist as much as you can. Really work on the height because this will be where the burn will be happening. You'll feel the range is restricted. I'm definitely feeling it on this side just a little bit more than the other side. Keep those nice little pulses. And then relax, well done. You can give it a pat and a rub and then be glad that you're done with your core workout. Well done.